Hey guys, Ralph here. True Power Trumpet Fitness. And bright and early Wednesday morning, a rainy but warm Wednesday morning here in Connecticut. I want to make this quick. I'm off to Penn State in about probably less than an hour, and I want to get this up. So I'll definitely not do it tomorrow, and we'll talk again on Friday. Okay. This is, as you saw, the thumbnail about Wayne Bergeron. I consider him to be the best working player, and I'll explain that in the video. And that's kind of near and dear to me because that is the type of thing that I was doing way back in the day. Just really pounding the streets and doing the grunt work, and I mean, he does that to an elite level, but I have so much respect for him. Anyway, and he has terrific chops. So that's that. I've definitely not played today. Let's see what comes out. Okay. See now, that for me, doesn't have to be for you. That for me, I know that what I'm doing is right. Very, very, very few people can do that. And what is playing up to the screaming double C, wide open, and then go right down with no warm-up whatsoever, and play lyrical and sustained and controlled with no strain whatsoever, no mark on the lips, and that's rare. I mean, that's what I know. I'm right. Okay, anyway, Wayne Bergeron. I think he is the best. Okay, I am not in the trenches day after day after day, pounding the streets anymore. But with the beauty of social media and everything, you can just keep on top of everything. And this guy seems to be, well, first of all, in my humble opinion, even though I'm not in LA, his home base is LA, and I think for sure he is the strongest guy out there. No question about it. Up to double C's, big as a house. There are a couple of studio guys, and I'll get to that in a minute, that can, get the bell that far from a microphone and can squeak out a note or two higher than that. That's fine. That's fine. To each his own. To each his own. But for my money, the best chops, and that's what we talk about here, for a working musician is Wayne Bergeron. Now, you got to understand, I don't put him, when I say working musician, and this is what I was talking about in the lead-in, that I have so much respect for what he does and how he's so consistently excellent every time out of the box. He's got a different thing than Vizzuti or Faddis or James Morrison. At this point, these guys are basically soloists. They have their clinics, they have their solo dates, they do a concert tour with their band or whatever the case may be. They write their own music and they have, okay. But they are not, in the traditional sense, pounding the streets like Wayne is. And if they are pounding the streets, and I'll get to that in a second, they're not doing it to the extent he does. Okay? Now that means, he was actually born here in Connecticut, right up in Hartford, although he doesn't consider himself a nutmeg state guy. He moved to Los Angeles when he was 1. And he, it took up the trumpet at a young age. And by, mid-teens, he was playing enormous double C's. Okay? And to the fact that he could actually play double C's before he could play the low C. That's how the legend goes. If we had him here now, maybe it'd be different. But, you read his bio on his website, which everybody can do. So I'm going to gloss over it. But since that time, and I'm not even sure he went to college. I think he got right into working. I mean, he played lead with Maynard Ferguson. Those Bob Nouveau bands. Recorded several albums with him. Got into the studios, and is the number one call. I mean, over 400 soundtracks. I mean, he's the number one call. All those jingles, all those sideman dates with the great stars and everything. He is the number one call. That is why I have so much respect for him, and I think he has the best chops. Now, we're going to talk about his chops in a minute. But once again, for the sake of argument, Maurice Andre, who you know I love, and I'm not belittling him at all. He has a string of dates that he knows years in advance. He knows exactly what he's going to play. He knows exactly who the conductor is. The conductor kowtows to his dynamics, to his tempos, to his phrasing, everything. He knows exactly what it is, and he can prepare for that. Wayne wakes up in the morning, and he doesn't necessarily know what he's going to do. He gets a call from whoever, and without warming up, possibly, I can be there in an hour. He goes down to the studios, he does something, and boom, he's got to be on. And to do that to the extent that he does is tough. And I tell you what, I respect that more than you can possibly imagine. More than you can possibly imagine. Okay, he has his own jazz group, several albums. Again, sideman for, Harry Connick, all this sort of thing, all those recordings. The soundtracks, okay. Plus, as you know, he's a big Yamaha clinician. He's the number one clinician for Yamaha, and they have him all over the place at all these festivals and everything, doing workshops. And I'll tell you what, man, you see him on YouTube, a lot of workshops with younger kids, high schools and stuff like that, okay? And I'll tell you what, from a music educator that I am, he has a way of talking to kids that is terrific, absolutely terrific. And that, folks, is not a given. He can talk to them in a language that they understand without being condescending and making himself one of them, that they're not afraid to raise their hand and ask a stupid question. Some of these guys are so condescending, I mean, they shouldn't be doing it. They shouldn't be doing it. I'm going to throw out a name. I was privy to a workshop with Chuck Mangione years ago, and he's irrelevant now. But at the time, he couldn't have been more condescending, a bigger jerk to these kids. He was getting paid good money, and he rolled his eyes. Tell him what a stupid question. And he walked off after a while, and his band weren't allowed to talk to him. I mean, just nasty. Wayne is not above the whole thing. Takes the money and does the best he can, and God bless him. Now, if you take a look at his chops, they are stereotypical, thick. Of all our idols, thick, the top, the bottom lip, compressing, very, very thick. I don't know now. He knows Jerry quite well, and they're very, very friendly. I don't know about his tongue. I will call Jerry and have him actually get in touch with Wayne about what he's doing with his tongue. He is working hard. There's a little bit of strain going there as compared to, Harry James, right? And I've seen pictures of him that sometimes his chops look a little banged up. Now that doesn't mean anything. Sometimes that doesn't mean anything. If you're using a dry embouchure, which I do, and I'm taking for granted he does, you can get a ring very, very easily, but just because the mouthpiece might turn a little bit and pinch, and all of a sudden you've got a little ring. And sometimes, and I don't know if this happened to him or not, but I know a lot of guys that use a dry embouchure. Mel Broyles was one of them. Sometimes you can get little minor cuts because of the dry embouchure, okay? And if you are putting a filthy mouthpiece, which is what it is, I mean, we're having out to and spewing God only knows what into the mouthpiece. I mean, that is a bacteria, and you put that on a cut, you've got an infection waiting to happen, and that can cause scarring and everything. And I don't know if that's the case or not. But again, his chops look brilliant. They look absolutely brilliant. He's solid as a rock up to a double C. And he has all the bases covered musically. Now, this I'm going to say, and please listen to what I'm saying, okay? You know what? Who cares? I think he probably one of the best because he can do everything. Now, I know I've seen enough of his clinics. He did a thing with Arturo Sandoval where they played Arbin duets. And I'll tell you what, the articulation is as precise and clean as any orchestral player. And there's no question about it. He couldn't play first because of the phrasing and all that sort of stuff. But there's no question about it. He could give him 6 months and a handful of lessons with Phil Smith. And he could play second, third, fourth in any major symphony. He has that kind of talent. Plus, all the other stuff he does. Now, you put it the other way, the principal players in the top orchestras, yes, their orchestral playing is a little bit, but they can't touch the other side of the stuff that he does. You see what I'm saying? So I hold him and his acumen for the broad spectrum of music that he plays, I put him in higher regard in that way than the symphony guys. Also, I know I beat a dead horse about that, but he's a little younger than me. He's early 60s. So he has a lineage, if you will, back to the golden age of trumpet. I mean, he Conrad Godzo, Ewan Rassi, the Finley brothers, Conte Candoli. I mean, we can go on and on, just the monsters of monsters. And he was back. Now, he was young at the time, and he was probably learning from them. He was probably may not, actually played with Godzo. I don't know. But that is what I like. And I know that has something to do with his approach, that he's so strong, as opposed to just being a studio guy that whispers in a mic. Okay? So there you go, guys. It's Wayne's World, and we're just playing in it. And I think, who's to say who's the best? But he is absolutely terrific. And I'm going to throw one thing out here, and I'm saying this from my absolute heart. And if Wayne, if you ever get a chance, I don't know you, we never met. If you ever get this video ever falls in your lap for some reason, I'm concerned about your health. Okay? At our age, Wayne, you can't be 50 pounds overweight. That brings in heart disease and diabetes and all this sort of stuff. And I want to see you wailing double C's when you're 100 years old. I want to be at your birthday party. I'll be alive when you're 100 years old and healthy as can be. For no other reason, if you want to contact me via Skype, I can put you on the healthiest diet in creation. And all those things will not be an issue. And for somebody that's as busy as you and eating out all the time, I've been on the road. It's not a healthy lifestyle at all. I'm sure you're doing your best, but I can help you out like you wouldn't believe. So if this ever drops in your lap, please feel free to contact me, and we can do that. Okay, guys, have a great day. I got to get going. Love you all, and we'll talk again on Friday. Live your life with true power.